Or a power.
Yeah, a little power surge. So I'm going to at least start with the microphone. You're all going to help decide if we're going to make these poor candidates use the microphone. And this is not meant to be the firing squad, as we said. And there's some people that enjoy speaking and some people that absolutely don't. So first we want to welcome all of you, and especially welcome the candidates for being willing to come and do something that may be even out of your comfort zone. So we want to welcome, yeah, that's right, give them a hand. So we know people will walk in. Luis will be the hostess with the mostest. We already know that, thank you. That there's water in the beaver coolers, cookies you can get up at any time. I'm going to talk about the agenda in a moment and what the cards are for. But I want to welcome you to what we consider the first annual school board candidates forum for Citizens for 13J Excellence. For any of you who haven't read what our mission statement is, we're Citizens for 13J Excellence is a community organization devoted to supporting the schools of Central School District by promoting community involvement in school leadership and improving communication with the school board. So thank you, welcome. We're very excited about tonight, and tonight is the first example of that. The outlay of the evening will be the candidates will each be able to make a brief introductory remark, and that will last for 2 minutes at the most, and I do have a timer. I won't gong you, but I will help, you know, with that process, and the reason why is only for the timing, and we're gonna then have it be very informal at the end, so you have plenty of time to continue talking to the candidates when it's over. We will have questions then for the candidates that they have been given ahead of time, so they could have some time to prepare and think about what they would like to say to the community. And then we will have questions from the audience, and that's what you have in your hand, the 3x5 card. Feel free to fill it out any time, if it's for a specific candidate or for all candidates. In the back are Kathleen and Jill, and we would like for you to be handing them in as you think of them. I'll remind you one more time that we'll take all of them, and it's not that we won't want to read all the questions. It'll just be in a priority that's not repeating questions that have already been asked. And if you want and your question's not answered, feel free to stay after to keep asking those questions. Then we'll have a meet and greet, and that's why we want you to feel comfortable staying after and having water and cookies with all of us so that we can have some time. So with that, each candidate is going to have 2 minutes, and I do have the timer. I'll start that, and when you hear the sound, then you can just make sure that you're kind of wrapping up. And I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but I will have somebody start each time at a different time, but we'll start with, on this end, but I'm gonna introduce this Kathy Zahner, currently on the board, running again. Yep. This is Steve Mosier, running for a position this evening, one position that it has 2 candidates running. Steve Mosier is one of the candidates. We have Mary Schellenberger, who is currently a board member and running for office again. We have Steve Love running for the position that Paul Evans is leaving. Steve Love. And we have Preston Baxter, who's running for the other position. Steve Mosier and Preston Baxter are running for the same zone. Preston Baxter. And I'm Mona K. Hines, for anybody who hasn't met me or doesn't know me. I'm one of the community volunteers for Citizens for 13J Excellence. So Kathy, if you would begin, and that's the only time I'll make you go first tonight, okay?
I thought if I sat over here, I'd be left.
And you're more than welcome, and I'm gonna let each candidate decide if they wanna stand up here, stand here, sit. That's up to you to decide, okay? And you can ask.
I prefer to sit, and can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. All right. I'm local. I grew up out at BD, went to elementary school there, went to middle school and high school in Dallas, went to Salem Business College after that, started to work at what was then OCE, so you know how old I am. And worked there for about 20 years. Started as a clerk typist, and they don't even have those anymore. And ended up in mid-management. That gave me the opportunity to learn about budgets of all kinds, facilities issues, personnel issues, all of that sort of stuff. Then I worked for about 10 years as a legal assistant. And that was a whole other kind of education. That allowed me to learn how to do research, understand laws and the legislative process, and to view things from all sides, and to really understand about language. Since I've retired, as is often the case, you think you get busier, I've been very involved with Relay for Life, which is a fundraiser for the American Cancer Society, both as on a team and on the planning commission. I volunteered at El Curan Food Bank. I'm a member of the Central Alliance. And I currently volunteer at the Henry Hill Elementary School and have volunteered at the high school in the athletic department. That's me.
All right, Steve, you tell me when you start, I'll push it. Okay, ready? Go! Hey, you're on.
Well, I grew up in Dallas. Ooh. Graduated from high school and started at Chemekon in the fire protection program there, and moved to Monmouth in May of 1977 and moved in as a resident firefighter and have been here ever since. Made good by marrying a local girl, Leanne, and if anybody's been in the library, she's one of the ladies behind the counter in there. And we have 6 children. My full-time occupation, I got a job with the Portland Fire Bureau in October of 1980, and retired from there in June of 2008. This last December, I stepped down from the fire district after 33.5 years in the rank of division chief. Is Chief of the Volunteers was my title, and I was a paramedic for a lot of those years. I've been involved with the school bond projects for the first bond, which was the $13.5 million one. I was on the committee that looked at facilities, and we initially called it deferred maintenance, and we changed it because we turned it into like health and safety, because we thought deferred maintenance was kind of like a bad thing. And then I was also involved with helping with the second bond, going out and getting stuff out in the community in front of people. I've been on the school budget committee. This will be my 2nd year. I volunteer with the YMCA. I'm a director there, and I'm also a summer employee of the YMCA at the swimming pool. I'm a lifeguard swim instructor. I'm an assistant scoutmaster with Troop 38 in Monmouth. I'm a member of the Central Lions Club with Kathy, which she forgot to mention. BPOE 1950. I deliver Meals on Wheels twice a week. I'm a volunteer / slave labor for the Independence Public Library. And I do lots of other stuff in the community when somebody needs a hand. I'm a member of Christ Church, which is Methodist Presbyterian combined over in Monmouth, and a trustee and on the finance committee there.
I'm Mary Schallenberger. Larry and I have lived in a rural township of Buena Vista for 41 years. Before that, we lived in Independence and Monmouth. We were educated in this community. We raised our 2 daughters in this community. I worked in this community. Larry worked at Boise Cascade for 42 years. And myself, I worked 29 years for the Central School District. I have worked as a resource aide, a general assistant, a media assistant at Independence Elementary, and at the print shop. I have worked for 7 principals and 8 superintendents. I subbed in the district until I ran for a board position. I volunteer at IES for the SMART program, Start Making a Reader Today. I volunteer for Polk County Master Gardeners and the Linn County Sheriff's Office.
Steve, ready.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Steve Love. First of all, I want to thank 13J, Citizens for 13J Excellence, for this opportunity. I think it's a great idea, especially with what the district's been going through, so great job. My background is, I actually grew up in California, so I'll just get that out there. But what's interesting is that my dad was an almond grower. That's, to most of you, is probably known as almonds, but if you're in the business, it's almonds. And we grew up in a rural community then that's a lot like where we live here or in Monmouth Independence. Very, very similar in a lot of different ways. I graduated from Fresno State University with a degree in mechanical engineering, and today I work for Hewlett-Packard. I've worked for them for almost 20 years. My first job out of college was with Sandia National Laboratories, which is funded by the Department of Energy, so I actually have experience working in more of a public-funded arena, and so I have some understanding of what it's like to be within a funded entity versus private sector business. My career with HP has been an incredible journey. I started out as a project manager down here in Corvallis, and after about 4 years, I was moved into the facility manager role, where I actually managed all of the construction activities, all of the services that keep that site operational. And during that tenure, I also worked or represented Hewlett-Packard on the Corvallis Chamber of Commerce on their board of directors, and worked with them for 3 years. And ended up doing a lot of their strategic planning and worked on a task force to converge the Benton Coalition, which was a kind of a competing entity with the Chamber of Commerce for Corvallis. But today what I do for HP is I actually do strategic real estate planning and work with people all over the world. So I have a little bit different view. I mean, I have strong grassroots, but I also have kind of a global view of what's happening. And I have to say that my passion and the reason I'm interested in working on the school board is my passion for academics.
All right, I'm last. My name is Preston Baxter. I am resident in Independence. My wife and I moved here in 1997. I should back up even further, I guess. I went to school at Utah State in structural engineering. That's my background. My wife and I got to be resident assistants there in the housing complex, so we got a little bit of pre-family a taste in some internal family politics and things like that. But anyway, we moved on from that, moved up here, and went to school at Oregon State, got my master's degree there. During that time, I also joined the Army National Guard, and I'm still a member of the 234th Army Band here in Portland, where I'm a platoon sergeant. So there's one of the leadership in that group. And I think that's one of the things that I think I can bring to this organization is some of the leadership, the military, and other training that I've had, some of the practice that I've had, some of those experiences that I think would serve me well here. I've been an employee of Siege Twom Hill, which is an engineering firm down in Corvallis, since we moved here. I've been working in our bridge department, so hopefully there's some technical and metaphorical things that might come into play with us here. And I worked on all kinds of different projects here in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, around the country, even some projects around the world. So kind of like Steve, I have kind of a global perspective, but I really have a passion for our community where we live here. I'm a volunteer with the CERT group, the Community Emergency Response Team, as an assistant lead for Independence. My wife, most especially, has volunteered often in the schools as our kids have been growing up, and we both are active in where our kids are going to school now as well. Probably forgetting about 14 other things. I only listed 3 of my full-time jobs. There's probably another one in there I'm missing. I'm the father of 6 kids as well, which kind of keeps us all busy.